Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in a video today, and we're going to be talking about another NBA trade rumor, as it was reported by Bleacher Report earlier today that the LA Clippers are interested in not only weeks ago it was announced that they were interested in Mike Conley, but it was also announced today that they're interested in another point guard, and his name is Fred VanVleet, former All-Star. This is very interesting. I like this move for the Clippers if they potentially go for it. I mean, it's interesting, number one, because Fred VanVleet, he's an all-star. I mean, not all. Well, I would say if his team was doing really good, he could be an all-star. But what I meant to say is he's a free agent going up into this year. So just what are you willing to give up for Fred VanVleet, knowing he's a free agent, knowing he can optimally leave you next season? So I don't know what I know the Raptors, they want a first-round pick, maybe two, just depending on the players they're getting, and I'll go over the deal that I have happening to make this a done deal. And yeah, so that's one thing. Also, I like this for the Clippers because Fred VanVleet played in Toronto with Kawhi. They actually had some good chemistry in Toronto, so I'd like that. And Fred VanVleet is a way better player than he was in 2019 when they won the championship than he is now. I'm sorry, the other way around. He's a way better player now than he was in 2019 when they won the championship. I mean, he had a different role. You know, Kyle Lowry was still in Toronto back then, and there's some other players that were, getting more time than him. He was like more of the sixth man back then, and now he's converted to the starting point guard, and he's done great with that role. So I'd love to see him play with a great team in the LA Clippers, and I think he'd do really well with them. And I think that possibly if you add in VanVleet, I do think that the Clippers would be the favorites for my favorites to come out of the West. I mean, I think that you're just adding in all the depth. I mean, I think all the Clippers need in the West to be dangerous is a healthy Kawhi and a healthy Paul George, and everybody around them to play good basketball and stay healthy, and you should be good. You add in VanVleet, now you're even more dangerous, and I think that would be, I'm not saying the Clippers would win the championship for sure, because I think it'd be hard because of who you're playing in the East. If you're playing the Celtics or the Bucks or the Nets or whoever you're playing in the East that's coming out of the East, it would be hard. But I think the Clippers, they would win the West if they would land Fred VanVleet. Now let's get into what the Clippers have to give up. And so you have to, VanVleet's contract is $21 million. You have to, match that up because the Clippers can't, with their, with Kawhi and Paul's contract, they have to fill that all the way up. So there would be three players heading on to Toronto and two really young players which I would like for Toronto. One veteran who's on an expiring contract. I don't even know if he would play in Toronto. So the first one is Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, he started with a great season in LA this season, playing great basketball, and then just got moved out of the rotation and has came back a couple times and has done all right. This year is averaging 12.5 points per game. I think he could do something for Toronto this season, but he's not going to be a long-term stay, so that's all right. All right, the other two players that I actually would like in Toronto, I think they'd have a good fit off the bench or maybe potentially in a couple years starting. One of them, which would be Brandon Boston Jr. I really like this kid. I think he's showing some good things for the Clippers this season. But due to the lack of depth with the LA Clippers that they have, I just think that there's no way unless they trade a bunch of players, trade multiple players off the bench to get him some real minutes and I think you'd have to trade Luke Kennard for Brandon Boston Jr. which I don't think they're going to trade Luke Kennard, but you'd have to trade Kennard to get Brandon Boston some real minutes. And I really like this kid, and I think if Toronto's going to, rebuild this thing, I think Brandon Boston would be perfect for their rebuild. Amir Coffey, I like him. He's a good defensive player, decent shooter, good role player, and he's young as well. He's 25 years old, so I think he'd be good for this Raptors team off the bench. And then also a 2024 first-round pick. Who knows what that could be? Clippers will probably be good with this trade going in. 2024, who knows? VanVleet could leave, go to a different team. But if the Clippers, are in the finals or win the finals or in the Western Conference Finals. I think if you trade for VanVleet, I think the Clippers, they're definitely gonna, I think in my opinion, gonna make the Western Conference Finals. You're just, from then on, you're just stacked. I don't know if you win the Western Conference Finals. I don't know who you're playing, but what I do know is the Clippers will go far if they do this trade. Now, you do have with picks. Raptors do want a first-round pick. I give them the 2020 first-round pick. I would say because of the lack of players that they're getting, I'd say you probably have to add in a second or two. I don't know what years you have in picks, but I'm sure they do have at least 1 or 2 second-round picks, so you have to give 1 or 2 second-round picks up to the to the Toronto Raptors. But I mean, yeah, I like this trade, and I don't know if it will happen. I don't know if VanVleet will be traded. I know there's a lot of teams interested in him, and it's going to be fun to see what ends up happening with that. But we'll see. And that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on the video, and we'll see if the trade happens. And peace out.